Once a heavily industrialized area, this Toronto neighborhood has undergone massive changes, which began decades ago. Today, this neighborhood is a vibrant community that attracts locals and visitors to its beautiful parks, boardwalks, and patios. I can't cover it all, so if I miss something about Harbourfront that people should know, please leave a comment below. In the 19th and early 20th century, the Toronto Harbourfront was an industrial centre and used as a major transition point for goods. But today, it's been turned into a bustling recreation area and neighbourhood, with beautiful views of the Toronto Islands, Lake Ontario, and the city skyline. According to the Toronto Waterfront Revitalization Corporation, concerted effort has gone into revitalizing the natural habitat, while also making the area livable for residents of the city. Toronto's Harbourfront neighbourhood sits right at the centre of the Toronto Waterfront Revitalization area. But this waterfront is not the natural shoreline. Over many decades, the shoreline was slowly but surely infilled to provide more space for transportation and industrial use. It's hard to imagine it with all the towering buildings and infrastructure of today, but the shoreline at one time was actually about 300 meters further back. For context, the Toronto Harbour Commission building used to sit right at the water's edge. Today, it's dwarfed by the city skyline. And before it was established as a major shipping port, the Toronto waterfront was one of the biggest natural marshes on Lake Ontario. And it was used for centuries by the First Nations people because it provided a shortcut to the upper Great Lakes. The French were the first Europeans to make a settlement in the area in the 1700s. And later, the British would establish Fort York, which also used to sit right at the water's edge. The natural harbour, thanks to the Toronto Islands, provided a natural defence for the British Navy. As trading and shipping expanded in the area, it made sense to establish manufacturing along the waterfront as well. And in the 1840s, the infilling of the inner harbour began. That infilling has resulted in the shoreline we see today, although it looks very different from those industrial days of the past. I'm starting here at the Jack Layton Ferry Terminal, which technically sits outside the Harbourfront neighbourhood jurisdiction. It's here that you can catch a ferry across to the Toronto Islands. These ferries have been operating here since the late 1800s, at which time the ferries were operated by a private company until the City of Toronto bought them out in the 1920s. The boardwalk runs across the water's edge, on top of the once industrial docks, providing new and interesting views at each turn. The area is full of trees, benches, gardens, and open lawns, creating a unique and beautiful urban park setting. Add to that the thousands of people that flock to the area during the warmer months of the year, and you have an incredibly lively and vibrant neighborhood. There's also tons of activity happening on the inner harbor. There's tons of water taxis, city cruises, sailboats, and private boats running up and down the harbor and back and forth between the islands and the mainland. Plus, above all the activity on the surface, you have planes taking off and landing at the city airport located on Center Island. Hey, I'm Mark. I'm a photographer and videographer based in the Toronto area, and I make videos about North American places and experiences. With every video, I do my best to bring you great visuals and valuable information about the places that I visit. And on my channel, you'll find lots of other videos like this one, and I have plenty more planned for the weeks and months ahead, so consider subscribing. And if you've already subscribed, I really appreciate you and thank you. As you make your way along the boardwalk, you'll come across the Queen's Quay Terminal. This historic building was built in 1927 and was mainly a cold storage facility. Today, it's a mixed-use space with retail and restaurants on the main level and condos on the upper floors. This is the heart of the Harbourfront area and a great spot to hang out on a patio and people watch and take in the views and action on the inner harbor. A little further along the boardwalk is another part of the Queen's Quay Terminal, which is the Power Plant Contemporary Art Gallery. This building was the heating and refrigeration power plant that provided the temperature-controlled air to the terminal warehouse. Today, the building is home to some amazing and moving contemporary art, and the building itself is minimal and modern, while still showcasing some of the historic building. The gallery is free and definitely worth a visit. Continuing west along the boardwalk, you pass the Public Square and Harbourfront Concert Stage, and Marina 4, which is the most centrally located marina along the harbourfront. From Marina 4, you can easily walk to any part of the harbourfront and even the city core. Along the west side of the marina is the impressive Amsterdam Brewhouse, which has amazing patios and a really lively atmosphere. A striking and unique feature along the waterfront are the wave decks, which are sculptural and somewhat functional. This whole area is designed to offer space for city residents to walk, relax on the grass, relax on a patio, and the area functions as public park space where anyone can come down and escape the busy city streets. I personally think it works pretty well. The Harbourfront is definitely a unique neighborhood in contrast to the other city neighborhoods. It feels like one long park, dotted with places to unwind and relax. Harbourfront offers a lot of recreational options for its residents. There's walking paths, biking paths, boat and kayak rentals, gardens, sculptures, lots of food options, museums, and the list goes on. Really, it's a very functional flex space and you can make use of the Harbourfront in your own way. Whether that's reading a book in a quiet garden or jumping in a boat and cruising across the inner harbor. While the neighborhood is kind of separated from the rest of the city, it still feels very accessible. There's Queens Quay streetcar line, there's water taxis, and you even have the city airport. And Union Station, it's just a short distance away. Plus, the Rogers Center / Skydome and CN Tower are in the Harbourfront neighborhood. In comparison to other city neighborhoods, the Harbourfront ranks high in most categories, with transit and health taking top scores. Housing, education, and community follow closely behind. The neighborhood has over 30 condo buildings, a community center, 8 acres of urban green space, and tons of retail, restaurants, and even a Farm Boy grocery store, which if you haven't been, it's good. Just having a Farm Boy nearby probably raises your property value. As we get closer to the west side of the neighborhood, you'll get into the HTO Parks and Beach area, which is a great area with, again, lots of places to kick back and relax. You'll also find the Toronto Music Garden here, which was designed in collaboration with Yo-Yo Ma and some of the city's top landscape architects. The garden and its design is inspired by the music of Bach, and it's really a nice place. You can also catch free live performances here. The next stop is at Ireland Park, which offers great views of the city skyline and the Marina Key West. This is a nice spot to end the day and watch the city skyline slowly light up as the sun sets. You'll get good views of Billy Bishop City Airport and the ferry shuttling airline passengers back and forth from the island airport to the mainland. The Harbourfront in Toronto is a world-class waterfront community, and the city is continuing its efforts to expand the usability and livability of its waterfront. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you'll like this one next, so check it out. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.